Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to our match reaction show. I'm just gonna take a moment just to make sure that I think we've got everything sorted. I think I do, but just gonna give it a moment. And yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good. All right, awesome. So thank you so much for joining, and hello, everybody. Welcome to this match reaction show. It's finished. Genoa 2, Inter Milan 2, and what I will say is I think we might have seen our first classic already this season. It was a classic match, brilliant match that I've watched. Really, really good. And there's so much drama, but that's what Serie A is all about, isn't it? Serie A is all about drama. You haven't seen a Serie A match if you haven't seen a bit of drama. There was everything in this. There were yellow cards. There was VAR. Of course, they will talk about some good goals scored as well. And just overall, there was a bit of a slightly feisty atmosphere without necessarily going over the top. I think both teams will feel at the end of this. I think both teams will feel like maybe we could have got a result, and yet at the same time we have to be happy with what we have got. I think a point will feel like injustice or perhaps less than, but also at the same time kind of equal to probably what they deserve. So a fair result in the end, I would say. I will talk about the goals and stuff, but I think what I will say about Genoa is I think they should have won. They could have won this game, and they have only themselves to blame. Even at the fact that they've got a point, I think they only have themselves to blame for not being able to get all three and to put themselves in a situation where they had to come back, because there were so many good opportunities where a little bit more composure from Vitinha or from Messias, and they could have got a goal, but they just kept taking these ridiculous shots from all kinds of ridiculous angles. I mean, Vitinha hit one shot which went all the way to the dugout. If you can believe that was how bad it was, and then there was other shots where they're just trying to have so many miss kicks. They were trying to take like aerial strikes from nowhere. They're never gonna go in, but they're just trying to score. I wonder if the occasion was one that got to them, or the fact that somebody was trying to become a hero or make a name for themselves. Sometimes you just have to do the simple things and the right things, and that's what it is. The other part, of course, is Jan Sommer. And his photo is the one that I put on the thumbnail, because I think if Inter looking at someone as the culprit for the loss today, I think it's probably one of the bigger culprits is probably Jan Sommer. I know a lot of people talk about Bisseck's handball, but I think Jan Sommer was just as bad today. He was really, really poor with his distribution, was at fault for the first goal, probably could have done better with the second goal as well, but definitely the first goal he was at fault with. His passing was a bit wavered as well, and again it's just that the lack of composure which didn't allow Genoa to probably profit from one of those errors. But they did profit from the first one. So Bani puts in a nice little header that goes in, and it's a very simple save for any goalkeeper. I mean, to be honest, yeah, things look a little bit easier on slow motion, but it's fairly simple. All that Sommer's got to do is got to grab it. And sometimes as a goalkeeper, that's what you want to do. You want to be decisive. You want to be clear in what you're trying to do. I think Sommer was trying to be a little bit clever, trying to be a little bit cute by trying to let it go. I'm going to just let it go over my head, and I'm going to let it go out. But what actually happens is, because he misjudges it, suddenly he's backpedaling, and now you see that the ball might be going in or might be going somewhere, so he just flaps his hand. I don't know if it hit the hand or if it hit the post. I think he might have hit his hand, and it just pops back in, and then it's a simple finish for Vogliacco. All he's got to do is make sure that it's on target, because Sommer's getting nowhere near it because he's already off balance. And it just shows you sometimes goals come out of nothing, because up until that point I thought Inter were fairly matched as well by Genoa. I think Genoa at times had control of midfield. At times it was Inter that had control of midfield, but especially in that first half, I think Genoa gave it as good as it got. And I really thought that somewhere along the line, I think someone didn't really kind of understand what the hell was going on within Inter. And I think probably they haven't played as much in pre-season, so that probably had an effect as well. But they went down 1-0, and it is what it is. I don't think they deserved to be 1-0 down, but at the same time I don't think they could complain that they were 1-0 down as well. But then they took control of the game after that, and Marcus Thuram scored a beautiful goal. Nice assist from Lautaro as well, the nice cross that came in, and the header from Thuram is brilliant, because he's got to get that absolutely right. In the position that he is and the head movement that he's got to make, he's got to get that absolutely right, because if he doesn't, it probably goes away from the far post, or it goes over the bar. He's got to put it in a way where he can really get into that bottom corner, and he does ever so well with that header. Don't talk about him last season. He didn't score a lot of goals last season. He got a lot of assists, but didn't get a lot of goals. So maybe this season he'll be scoring more goals as well. It will help Lautaro Martinez. I think if he scores more goals, I think it helps Lautaro Martinez as well. It doesn't put as much pressure on him. So hopefully, I think from Inter's point of view, they'll be saying, yeah, please, Marcus, get us more goals. But that was a good goal to score. And then there was a controversy with the penalty decision for Inter Milan. Was that a penalty? I at first thought it wasn't, before it was given, I thought, nah, that's not, doesn't look like a penalty to me, because from the angle that it showed, because there is always a way when you look at it, from the angle that it showed, to me it looked like, it's not a penalty. But I also knew that it was one of those where if there had been any contact between Thuram and, sorry about that, but if there was any contact between Thuram and the defender, then that was going to be stay. The decision would stay as a penalty. But when they looked at it on VAR, what they realized was that, yeah, I mean, Thuram actually has kicked the defender. The defender did very well to get his foot ahead of Thuram, between Thuram and the ball. The defender, if you look at it, it's very good defending, because what he's done is he's realized, I cannot challenge Thuram here, because Thuram is probably going to, go down, or it's a very simple shot. All I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get my leg in between Thuram and the ball, and then whatever happens, and he did that, and Thuram basically ended up kicking his leg instead of it being the other way around. And I can understand why the referee made that mistake. In real time, it's very hard to make a decision like that, in real time. Look at it on replay, you can say, okay, maybe that was not a penalty, but in real time, I think most people would have given that as a penalty. I probably would have given that as a penalty too, even though from far away, it didn't look like one. When I saw the replays, it didn't look like one, but from far away, when you have to make a split-second decision, you kind of go, yeah, that's probably a penalty. So I wouldn't blame the referee for that, but good job for the VAR to spot it and then not give it as a penalty, and that was fair enough. Then, I mean, VAR took from Inter, and then it gave back to Inter in the second half, give them that goal. And well, here's the thing with that offside decision, again, real time, and I looked at the replay as well in this, that's offside. I said, that's offside. There's no way that's onside, that's offside. But what they showed us in the replay was that little bit of that leg that stays behind Thuram, so Thuram is onside. I've got to say, many people will be frustrated by that, and I was probably a little bit frustrated by that as well. Even though I'm not an Inter fan, I'm not really a Genoa fan, but I was kind of rooting for Genoa, because I do like to root for underdogs from time to time. And I did feel bad for Genoa, but I was like, God damn, that's VAR, man. That's the decision that you don't want to be seeing. That's the kind of decision that will frustrate fans. They're like, wow, it's so minute. It's the right decision. There's nothing wrong with the decision. Decision absolutely right. But just that minutia, sometimes it comes in. And as a fan of your team, you go, wow, that's great. It worked out. And if you're not a fan, you go, damn, that, wish there wasn't any VAR. So, but it was the right decision. There was a good pass from Frattesi, though, it has got to be said. And I don't think Thuram meant it. I think Thuram, I do not, from that angle, he's got lucky. So Thuram has got lucky, because there's no way he's timed that run knowing that the defender stuck his leg behind. It's not. He's mistimed his run. He's gone a bit too early. The pass from Frattesi is good. What has happened is that the Genoa defender has played him onside, and he's got lucky. Please do not tell me that Thuram timed his run to perfection. He didn't. There's no way he knew that a defender was going to stick his leg out like that behind his body, and that Thuram could run onto. There's no way attackers know that. He might say that. There's no way attackers know that. So I was definitely not convinced that Thuram meant it, but at the end of the day, it was a good finish. It was a very good finish from him, and it was 2-1. I think Inter deserved to lead that game. I think they did deserve to lead, because they had created quite a few good chances. Dimarco had scored a goal as well before that, which had been called offside as well. That one was a clear offside. And they had created other good chances as well, so they deserve to be ahead. I think Genoa will be disappointed with the defending on that goal, because they gave the ball away cheaply in the first place. And then they allow Inter to run, and that kind of defending where the defender's kind of putting his leg behind, it's desperate, panicky defending. And they didn't have to get in that position, as I kept saying. They did not have to get in that position, because they could have easily got a goal themselves if they had shown a little bit more composure, but they just couldn't. And when you allow a team like Inter to stay 1-1 without taking your chances, you're always asking for trouble, and that's what happened. And Inter made it 2-1. And I think most people would have thought that Inter would have won. I still felt there was something in that game. I felt there was a moment of controversy that was to come in that game, because that's what happens in Serie A. In most games, you do get that moment of controversy. It could have been Inter's moment rather than Genoa's, but still, there was something that was there, and it came with that Bisseck handball. Was it handball? Most people, I think it is handball. If the ball has, now here's my thing with it, and my eyes are probably not that good, but from every angle that I was seeing, I was like confused. Did it take head to hand, or was it hand and then head? If it was hand and then head, which is what the commentators have been telling me for a long time that it was, but I don't trust the commentators, because they didn't even know a lot. They made a mess up of a lot of details. But if they are correct, then it's a hand, then it's a penalty. There's no doubt about it, it's a penalty. If it took the head first and then took the hand, I think it's a bit harsh. Where I think Bisseck does not do himself any favors is by sticking his hand out like that. Like, why is he even trying to stick? And this is something I don't understand with defenders often, is they stick their hand out like that. And I get it, for balance and stuff you need to do it, but every time you stick your hand out, you put yourself in trouble. I mean, there's got to be a way to teach, for defenders to teach them better techniques. I mean, it's a technical flaw, really, that he's trying to go in that way. What you would, and that's probably because of his body position. His body position is such where he's basically reaching out. If your body position, and that's how it works. If your body position is correct and you've judged the flight of the ball correctly, you don't need to stick your hand out like that. The reason why he's sticking his hand out like that is because he's misjudged the flight of the ball or the trajectory of the ball. So now he's got to stretch his head further than what he wants to. So therefore, because he's stretching his head further, therefore his hand instinctively has to come out further because he's got to balance himself. And when you do that, you're always in trouble, because if you misjudged it even more, which is what happened with Bisseck, oftentimes what would happen was that a player would hit the ball and then it would hit the hand, and those would also be given handball. Thankfully that is not the case anymore. But the moment you put your hand out, if you have for any reason misjudged the trajectory even more, which is what happened with Bisseck, he completely misjudged the trajectory and the flight of the ball, it hits his hand, and it's always at risk that it will hit his hand. And so that's what happened here, and I think that's something that Bisseck is going to learn from. He's still a young defender, so you don't want to go on him too much, but it was his fault there for that penalty. But he's young and he's got to learn, and he's got to learn that part of the game, that you've got to be more aware as a defender of where the ball is going, or that understanding the trajectory and the flight of the ball is very important for a defender, especially when crosses come in the last 10 minutes of the game and you're trying to head things off. That is very, very important. I think that is an important lesson that Bisseck will learn. But it was a penalty. And when Messias, I was like, Vitinha is going to step up or Messias is going to step up, and both of them have been crap with their shooting throughout the game. They've been very, very crap with their shooting. So I was like, whoever's taking this, I think they're going to miss it. I was just so certain that they were going to miss it. I knew he was going to miss it, and Messias did miss it. He let Sommer save it. I don't think it was a very good penalty. It was actually pretty poor, and I think Sommer, having done so well to save it, he makes a mistake as well, in that what he should have done was he should have tried to, I mean, again, it's penalties is a bit difficult, I understand all of that, I get all of that, but still, as a goalkeeper, someone who's so experienced, you've got to understand how to, that kind of awareness has to come. And what he should have done was, when he realized, because it wasn't a very difficult penalty to save, the height is comfortable, it's not too far away from his body, perhaps that is one of the issues, that it's not too far away, so he might have over-dived a little bit, but still, having done that, he's got to then palm it away towards the other side. What he instead does is it hits his hand and it comes right back into the center of the goal. And from there, as long as Messias reacts quickly enough, which he does, he's going to score. From there, you can't miss goals. You rarely ever miss goals. So that was the issue with Sommer. I think if he had maybe decided, if he had been a little bit more proactive, and maybe a Sommer on form knows what to do, is that he saves it and he palms it away towards the other side, or even he catches it maybe. But this Sommer, the Sommer of today, who had such a bad game, a horrid game, he does what you would expect, which is that he palms it straight into the path of the goalkeeper, and it is a goal. And it's sad. It is absolutely sad to see, because having done so much, he had done a lot of hard, he had come through a really, really torrid game, and sometimes you just want to get out of that game to think at 2-1, we've got to win. I didn't have a good game today, but that's okay, we've got them in, now I can focus. Having done that, to concede a goal, that I think it'll be a bit of a disappointment for him. It was a disappointment for Inter as well, because I don't think they were at their best throughout the game. I think they just about deserved to lead the game, but I don't think they deserved to win it. But having come through that bad phase and having somehow gotten the lead, you just want to see it out and you want to get the win, and they couldn't do it. But fair play to Genoa. They played really well today, and probably deserved a point. They probably should have, if any team deserved to win this game, if any team deserved to win it, I think Genoa probably did, because it's so many good openings that they created, and so many that were gifted to them as well by Inter. Just couldn't take chances. Vitinha and Messias are real problematic pairing up front, because both of them just wanted to shoot from anywhere. It was just like, oh, the ball is in the box, okay, fine, it doesn't matter if it's like an acute angle on my right or an acute angle on my left, or it's on my weaker foot, where it is doesn't matter, I'm just going to take a shot. It was just so terrible to watch, really. And that almost cost them, and it probably did cost them 2 points, because to be honest, I think they could have won that game. But it cost them 2 points for sure. But they got a point out of it, and that's something. From Inter Milan's point of view, I mean, it's been a while since they have not won their opening game. I still think they're the best team in Serie A at the moment. I just don't see where the challenge is coming from. Maybe Juventus, because it's Juventus, Milan, Napoli. I think are still. I mean, people talk about Conte, but I think Napoli is still maybe a little bit further away. Particularly if Osimhen is not around, then I think they will need some more time to settle in. So I think Napoli is still a bit further away. And then you're looking at the likes of Roma, Lazio, Milan, Juventus. Are they at the level? Bologna are going to struggle as well without with not having Montella. So I think it is Inter's to lose. For me, I think the title is, that doesn't mean they'll win it, but I still feel Inter are the best team, and I think it is their title to lose. But results like this will give encouragement to the chasing pack that, you know what, maybe we can pull off something. And we'll see how Milan do. And we'll see how Juventus do, of course, in the opening games as well. But it's a positive result for the rivals, but not too much of a bad result for Inter Milan as well. Genoa are a difficult place to go and get a result anyway. So I don't think they'll be looking at it too much of a disaster. What Inzaghi will have to do is have to work on the performances of some of the players, because that wasn't very good. But otherwise, I mean, it's the first game of the season, so you know you'd want to win your first game of the season. I think you always want, but you don't worry too much about the performances, because you know that players are still trying to work their way back into fitness, particularly in a crazy season like this one, which has had absolutely no break at all. It seems you can kind of forgive the fact that, you know, some of the players are not fit, and some of the performances are going to be patchy. And Inter haven't played a lot of preseason games as well. So all that said, I think Inzaghi will kind of look at that and go, right, it's okay. If this happens against Lecce, then that is a problem. But I think for now, they'll be thinking, that's okay. I think you know, it's an off day. Let's take the point that we have got and let's move on. For me, I think man of the match has got to be Thuram. I don't think you can look past Marcus Thuram. I think he scored 2 goals, looked really good as well. Probably should have got an assist as well when I think he passed it to Lani and he didn't score. But otherwise, he played really well. I think he played really well. Fratesi was really good as well when he came on. I think he needs to start the game. I think next one, maybe because of fitness he didn't start, but I think he should definitely start the next one ahead of maybe Mkhitaryan. But he was good when he came on as well. I think he gave Inter something very different. There's not a lot that Inter did wrong. I think, you know, Sommer probably, you know, was the worst player on the pitch. For me, I think he probably was, and a lot of people will go in on him, I think. But yeah, he was very dreadful. But aside from him, I don't think there were too many players that were played badly. Just a lot of them were probably 6 and a 6.5 out of 10. When you need perhaps 7.5. If you do rating system, you're probably seeing a lot of players played average. And because Inter have so many world-class players, so when they all play average, they tend to look worse than they actually are. But I don't think they played too badly, but they didn't play at the level that they were supposed to. And that is something that they will have to improve. From Bologna's point of view, I think you can't. I mean, it's again, Bologna also had a lot of average performances, but again, their average is probably different from Inter's average. You expect Genoa to be average in a game like this because they're playing against the champions. But I still feel there's a lot of room for improvement for Genoa as well, because just that striking situation, they need to find it. Somebody, I mean, Gilardino needs to have a word with those 2 strikers and go like, you can't be doing this, in other games. You can't be taking ridiculous shots from ridiculous angles. You just can't do that. But otherwise, I think they were okay. I think it was, and like I said, that's what made it a classic. It was 2 teams that didn't play very well, but they didn't play very badly either. So there was always chances and there was always weaknesses to exploit, but there was also some very good moments of quality to watch, and of course VAR always makes things exciting. So a great start to Serie A. I loved it. I loved watching it. Looking forward to watching more Serie A games this season, and that's going to be something that we're going to be doing. Like, we're going to be watching a lot more Serie A than we have done previously. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited and I'm happy that I watched this game. That, you know, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. So well done to Genoa. I would say that, I mean, they probably should have got more, but a point against Inter is not something to be taken for granted either. I think, you know, you've got a point and against the champions. That's still very good. So well done to Genoa. Hard luck for Inter Milan. I think they'll look back at those VAR decisions. They were all correct though. They were all correct. You know, the VAR decisions. I think you know, there were three major decisions that they had to take, and they were all correct. Absolutely correct. The frustration probably is for those who were on the receiving end of the decision. Might say, I was ruining the game. But there's no doubt that they got the right decisions, and so that is something to be celebrated as well. How many times can we say that in the Premier League, right? For example, 3 major decisions, and all 3 correct. How many times does that happen? So well done to VAR, well done to referees as well. I've got to say that as well, that they've done a very good job, and that's another reason why I love watching Serie A as well. I think the referees are not as controversial, the decisions are not always so controversial. It's usually very good to watch. So well done to VAR as well, and hard luck for you, Minter, but let's hopefully they'll do better against Lecce. Anyway, smash like on this video if you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts as well in the comment section. Always love to hear from you about, you know, what you think about this game. What did you think about this game? What do you think about Inter's chances this season? We haven't really talked much about Inter Milan. I don't think this game means much. You know, there's still 37 games to go. You don't win titles after game week 1, and you certainly don't lose them after game week 1 as well. So yeah, it's still a long way to go, but a bit of a setback, I would say, for Inter Milan. But what did you think of the game? What did you think of the result? What do you think? How what is this board for them for Serie A as well? Do they need reinforcements in the transfer window? I question that. I'm not sure, but let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear that, and please do subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We have just crossed 450 subscribers, so thank you so much for your support. We're looking to get to 460 now, so please help us cross that mark. So thank you so much, to everyone who subscribed, and please do subscribe. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate that a lot. We're back again because we're going to cover the Barcelona game as well. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe so you can get notified when that drops in. The Barcelona game will be reacted to as well. They're playing at I forget who they're playing, but we'll review that for sure. We'll review that definitely. So that'll be coming up as well. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon. Bye bye. Take care. Done. Just finished.